I asked you a question in a pregame show. I said, what's kind of been one of your messages this week? And quite simply, you looked at me and said, play harder. First 20 minutes in particular, it looked like your guys were bouncing around with a lot of energy. What'd you like about what you saw?
Yeah, we kept it real simple after the Saturday game. Obviously, that wasn't a great point for us. It was a tough day, and now you got to go on the road for 2. So we just really kept it pretty simple in terms of what was really, really important. Certainly we had a game plan, and we switched up some ball screen coverages and just to try to generate some more off our defense. But the biggest thing we talked about for the last 72 hours was just compete harder. And we had 2 goals today, compete harder and win. And I said if we accomplish the first goal, I can't promise you, but I'm pretty confident that we'll accomplish the second goal. And like you said, especially in the first half, I mean, we came out of the gate and got off to a really, really good start. And then in the end, obviously it's not the ending that you would want in a game like this. But when you got that big a lead and you're on the road, it is what it is. And I'm not gonna spend a lot of time, talking about that with our team. Or I may not even watch the last 4 minutes. How about that?
One thing, though, to kind of piggyback on the part about playing harder, when you're going through a stretch, if you'll do those things, even if shots aren't falling, how much can you play yourself out of bad stretches by just giving the proper effort and energy every time up and down the floor?
I mean, for me, it's something that's been ingrained in me, as an athlete, from just where I was coached, how I was coached, both in high school and college. So, and it's been a big part of trying to be a big part of the DNA of the places that I've been a head coach at. And, we've had some tough outings where it didn't feel like we were competing hard or hard enough. And that's unacceptable. And we've had a lot of serious conversations about that in our team space. And, it can get you through. It's got to be something that's in your back pocket when the ball isn't going through the hole, or, you're sloppy and have some turnovers. It's something that you can rely on and count on. And we haven't been in tip-top shape that way. I'm not saying physical shape. I'm saying just in shape of being able to compete like that all the time. So hopefully this is something that can propel them forward.
You talked about change your ball screen coverage a little bit. I have a note here I was going to ask about. You looked to me like you were hedging, maybe entrapping even on Thomas, especially early in the game, and that was part of the game plan, right, going in?
Yeah, we were a little more aggressive, than we had been, just thinking that we could rev our defense up, get us to fly around. I'm not sure it was the smartest thing to do. It worked out, well in the first half, obviously. Then they, in the second half, they started setting them a little bit higher and getting us out in too much space, and they were short rolling the big and putting us at a disadvantage. So we started picking the ball up, lower, so they couldn't do that to us and even trying to go under. But, 11 obviously is a guy, and, he gets him going, and he's hard to keep out of the paint. I thought we did a decent job of keeping him out of the paint, but we definitely switched it up tonight with our coverage, and from the first glance, I thought it was pretty good.
First half, when we jumped on them, really got going. To me, your ball movement and your player movement was so much better offensively. Was that an emphasis, or is it something that we're changing going forward, the way we're doing it? But it just looked to me like ball movement, player movement was great first half.
Yeah, when the ball goes in, and and the coaches continue to harp on those things, for whatever reason, when the ball goes in, then they like to do it a little bit more. And we had 7 guys with 8 or more points, and I don't think I have to go back and look. I can't imagine we've had another game all year long where we've had that kind of consistency and so many guys that are helping in the scoring column. And I think everybody liked it. Even the guys that maybe didn't get their average, or we're guys that are scoring at the higher end for us. I think they were really happy about how we were moving it, and different guys were playing to their strengths. And like always, right, when you get the successful result, sometimes you can, hey, we need to repeat this. You found something, let's repeat this again, and keep doing what we're doing that way.
Coach, talk a little bit about the performance tonight from Quincy Ballard and Sergei Machera. Unbelievable for both of them to me. I mean, I thought it was Quincy's best game overall. He just was doing things that we expect him to do, but as we talked about, those big guys like to touch it every once in a while.
Yeah.
And he had a pretty good game tonight. What was the difference with him?
Well, because of matchups, we ran a couple sets for him, and he did a good job of finishing them. He's not getting a lot of attention, so sometimes, right now he could get lost in the shuffle a little bit that way. But just his overall presence, 9 rebounds, 3 on the offensive end. He handled the ball and on the perimeter pretty well. Didn't put himself in bad spots. And then, Sergey, he made a couple trick shots. I'm not sure, I've ever seen him shoot those turnaround J's, and I'm hoping that he knows that we were shot clock shots, and they're not going to be a part of his repertoire going forward. But they both were very active. They were very active on the glass. They were fighting and scratching and clawing, and that's the way we got to play. that's just is what it is, and we certainly I know sometimes when you watch us play, it's not what it's getting on the court during the game, but I think Coach would probably know this as well as anyone. Like, it's what we're trying to do. It's what we preach every single day, and for whatever reason, tonight it showed up.
It looked to me like early in the game, especially one possession I remember, it looked like a cross-screen play where you set a cross-screen for Quincy. He came across, caught it, scored. Yeah. Was that part of it just to get him going?
Yeah, it was a old-school screen-to-screener play, and we've had it in our playbook since I've been here. And, a lot of times we have Josh set it because they won't help off him. I don't think he set that one. I think Sean actually set it. We run it a couple different ways. But, all of us as players, it feels better when the ball goes in the hole for you. Like, for whatever reason, you're a little more motivated to do all the things that the coach is harping you on, the details of checking out and crashing and running the court, and all the things that every coach in this league is trying to get their players to do. But, if you can ever figure out and get a team to buy into playing that way, no matter if the ball goes in the hole or not, then, you're a genius, But coaches always talk about not being motivated by the offensive end, but in reality, sometimes, that really helps to give a little bit extra effort.
What was the difference tonight in terms of your interior play? This LSU team that was +5 in a rebounding margin coming into tonight. We talked about how big and physical they were, and it felt like you dominated them in the paint tonight. Certainly on the boards you did in this game. What was the difference there?
I don't know. We felt good. We got off to a great start. The bench was really, really good. The energy was good at shoot-around today. Their focus was good. We kept it real simple with the goals that we had of just competing. No matter what it looks like, just compete harder, every single opportunity that you get. And, that confidence gets in your bloodstream, and that really, really helps. But like I said, I'll keep saying it. Like, if we can figure out a way to keep doing this, then I think we'll have better results. Obviously the thing that sticks out the most is our rebounding. We were really, really good against a physical, big team. They're a big physical team. And, I think we punched them in the face pretty good and kind of set the tone that way. And then the poorest part was probably our sloppiness. We just had way too many turnovers in the second half, just silly ones. And but again, I'm not going to watch the last 5 minutes,
gotcha.
so we're not going to dwell on that too much. What's a shorter plane ride, so maybe I'll stick to it.
You'll watch it.
Jabari, I thought, played well for you. And I know you've given him some run in that starting lineup now these last 3 games, but he's a guy who you kind of count on to be this X factor. If it goes well for him, things change for your team in a big way. What do you like about what you're seeing from him?
He's just got a physical presence about him. He's not perfect. None of our players are. But, he's been really good in terms of his vocalness on the court, his coachability. And he's physical. He's more physical than some of our other players. And so he can guard these physical guards that are trying to get downhill all the time. And he's willing and able to, chest them up and square them up and fight them a little bit. And, that's the thing that certainly the scoring's the scoring, but, like, that's what we need him to do all the time, is just play that physical brand of basketball for us.
One of the things I like, last question, to me, we haven't shot the ball well from the perimeter. Everybody knows that, the three-point line. Ken Grace gives us another guy that can do that.
Yeah.
Is he continuing to earn more and more playing time?
Yeah, you've seen it. He played 20 minutes against Vandy. Obviously, the score was different. He's very confident. I'm telling you, he's got it just oozes out of him. And you want that. I mean, you better have it to play in this league, and he has it. And you know, if you watch him, he's not afraid of nothing. He came down that block. I mean, that was a high level come from behind
without
block.
question,
I mean,
just
high
sprinted.
level. You know, and then sometimes he gets a little over anxious and he wants to drive the ball from 35 feet against this level of an athlete, and that'll come with time. But he just keeps getting better. He's as hard a working kid as we got. He's about the right stuff. He works his tail off, and I'm happy for him that he's getting in on the court now, because he handled it really well. I mean, like a lot of these kids, they come in and they think it's going to be an easy transition. It's not always. Usually isn't, but he stuck with it. He kept his work ethic. He got extra film in, and now he's getting rewarded for it.
Happy locker room, happy plane ride. Go enjoy all of that. We'll look forward to seeing you in Missouri on Saturday.
Appreciate it, Hail State.